The observation deck of the Perseverance fell silent as Commander Sarah Chen watched the Void Collective's fleet materialize on the scanners. 300 ships, each the size of a small moon, blotted out the starlight like a plague of locusts descending upon crops. Humanity's entire remaining force consisted of 12 vessels and 40,000 soldiers. The odds were insurmountable. The odds were, in every conceivable way, impossible. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Lu announced, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Chen nodded. "Put them through." A voice erupted from the speakers, cold, mechanical, utterly devoid of emotion. "Humans of the Sol system. Your resistance has been noted. It is illogical. You possess no weapons capable of penetrating our armor. Your strategic formations are predictable. Your species will be assimilated or exterminated. Choose quickly." Chen smiled grimly. The Void Collective had conquered 17 civilizations. Each one had surrendered when faced with overwhelming force. They had never encountered a species that fought back when victory was mathematically impossible. "We refuse," Chen transmitted. "And we're coming for you." What the Void Collective didn't understand was that humanity had been forged in struggle. For millennia, humans had faced extinction events, wars, famines, and plagues. They had evolved not just physically, but psychologically. Their minds were wired for persistence, for adaptation, for finding solutions in the darkest corners of desperation. The first volley of void weapons tore through space like burning meteors. The Courage, one of humanity's oldest warships, took a direct hit. Its shields flickered, held, then shattered. But instead of retreating, Commander Chen ordered all remaining ships to execute a maneuver that defied conventional military doctrine. They didn't scatter. They didn't seek cover. They accelerated directly toward the Void formation. "They're insane," a Void analyst likely muttered in whatever passed for their command center. What followed was the most desperate and ingenious battle in recorded history. Humanity's ships, smaller and far less powerful, relied on something the Void Collective had never encountered: creativity born from desperation. They used the gravitational well of nearby planets as weapons, slingshot their vessels through dangerous trajectories that the Collective's predictable algorithms couldn't counter. They coordinated attacks using quantum-encrypted communications that the Collective's decryption systems couldn't break fast enough. Lieutenant Marcus Webb piloted his fighter directly into a Void warship's weapon system, not to destroy it, but to disable it from the inside. He ejected at the last second, his pod rocketing back toward the Perseverance. 3 other pilots executed similar suicide maneuvers. Each one calculated to the millisecond, reckless by any standard, yet somehow working. The Void Collective's superiority in firepower meant nothing against an enemy willing to fight with asymmetrical tactics. Humanity didn't play by the Collective's rules because humanity had nothing to lose. They were fighting for their home, their families, their very existence. One by one, Void ships exploded as their systems failed under coordinated attacks. The Collective's commanders, accustomed to civilizations that surrendered when outmatched, found themselves paralyzed by an enemy that became more dangerous as their situation became more dire. Commander Chen stood at the observation deck as the final Void battleship erupted in a cascade of plasma. The Perseverance itself was crippled, held together by emergency systems and the determination of its crew. Around them, the debris of 7 Void vessels drifted silently through the void. "Casualties?" she asked. 80% of our fleet destroyed," Lu reported quietly. 30,000 souls lost. Chen closed her eyes. The victory had come at an incomprehensible cost. Yet when she opened them again, she saw something reflected in the observation window, not just her own face, but the faces of all those who had fought. Humanity's last stand had become humanity's greatest triumph. The message she transmitted to Earth was simple: we survived. Against all odds, we survived. We are still here. And in that moment, the Void learned what countless civilizations before it had failed to understand: humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology. It was their refusal to accept defeat, their capacity to adapt, and their unwavering will to endure.